Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Someone says, what's the future? Vaughn Coleman.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. What's going on, guys? I hope you're all doing well. I really got to choose a regular date and time for these Vaughn Coleman Presents. I just kind of like do them, and then people show up, and I don't know. So I'm going to figure that out. But in the meantime, I want to just update you guys. So tomorrow, obviously, we're recording this live on Sunday. Tomorrow, my comic book, Phenomenova, will be shipping out to my backers. Of course, we've got 5 different covers for you to work with here. So make sure you guys backed it. If you didn't, that's okay. Also, I want to show off, of course, if you backed on Fund My Comic, you got this mini print right here. And if you backed it, wherever, regardless of where you backed it, right here, you've got this as well. This double page spread drove people crazy. Everyone loved it. And I was like, all right, we'll make it a stretch goal. And we did. So that's that. And we also have my trading cards. So if you backed it day one, you're going to get one of these. Or if you backed it at all, again, you get one of these. The fan art contest winner won one of these. And I think I'm going to make that a tradition. The fan art contest winner just gets to draw a trading card. We'll see. Obviously, you know, I got to figure things out economically, but I really like doing it the first time. Stands to reason I'll probably do it again. So if you guys are interested and you're like, hey, I didn't get the chance to back Phenomenova, or I want to stay updated, and maybe you hate social media, or you just want a centralized location that just gives you the good stuff and nothing else, well, you're in luck. Make sure to join my MailChimp. This is an outdated cover, obviously, but you can join the email list. I will be launching my website hopefully on Friday. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely make sure that you are in on this. So, yeah, let me put the sign up for Phenomenova right here. So make sure you join the mailing list and stay up to date on all things Phenomenova. But I've talked about myself for far too long. Okay, one of my guests just disappeared. He'll come back, I'm sure. Mark, my remaining guest, how's it going?
It's going great, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's been too long. Every time I was about to schedule you, something came up, I think. But you learn a lot of campaigns, so I'm sure you'll be back around. And Patrick just resurfaced. How's it going, Patrick?
Sorry about that. My mic took a dump on me, so I had to restart the stream.
I hate when that happens. But really, turning it off and on again generally is the best solution for every given project. So what's up, Total Excellence? What's up, Ichthy 5? How you doing? Nice covers, thank you. John's Longbox says hi to both of you.
John's in the house. What's up, John?
Yeah, his book is shipping around the same time, so that's good. I guess people are going to be reading ours back to back. But speaking of that, we have your campaigns. These are a long time coming. Let's talk about your books. But I guess we'll get right into the campaign. I wanted to ask about this project because I remember hearing about it. I don't know how long you guys have been working on it, but we've got the Riot Press American Ninja X action figure. Oh, you just got a new backer.
Oh, awesome.
Sweet.
Wow, look how good I am. Look,
yeah,
you guys didn't even have to say anything. That's definitely on me.
Legendary Vaughn Coleman bump. Thank you.
Let's close it up.
I keep not knowing what to call it. Vaughn Coleman bump. Like I don't know because my name starts with a V and I don't know what rhymes with it. I'll have to think of something.
The bump.
Thank you. Yeah, very original. So want to talk about this because it just looks great. So I know you guys were both doing American Ninja characters. Remind me, but this guy, does he appear in Johnny Phantasm? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, American Ninja X. He first makes his cameo in Extreme '93. And then he also is in 2001. You know, like as I was fleshing him out, I kind of had him as part of like a Super Friends type of group. Um, you know, when Johnny Phantasm died, I really wanted to make. I wanted to keep on going with the story, and I wanted to make a 6-inch action figure. As we were fleshing out the action figure, because the action figure looks a little bit different than the comic book design, it was getting real close to Mark's U.S. Assassin. So I wanted to show it to Mark and be like, "Hey, is this too close to home?" And he was like, "No, I don't think so." And he actually liked it. So I was like, "Hey, do you want to write it with me?" And we decided to work on it together. And then that morphed into not just having one action figure in the campaign. We have 2 action figures. We got the American Ninja X, and then we also have the U.S. Assassin. So we got 2 great figures, 4 cool color schemes, 1 great comic illustrated by myself, written by Mark, cover by Don Figueroa from Transformers Ramada. It's going to be great. It's going to be good. It's going to be a really good comic. It's going to be a really great. I mean, if you're into collecting Marvel Legends or G.I. Joe Classified or Monster Force or any of that stuff, you'll love this figure or these figures.
That's awesome. So what about you, Marcel? Does Patrick spreading any fake news? Is his recollection accurate?
No, it's pretty accurate. He like hit me up and was like, "Hey, I want to share something with you," and he showed me the I guess it was like the design of the toy, what it was going to look like.
Yeah.
And this is a character, like he said, that has appeared in Johnny Phantasm. So he asked if I had a problem with it. I didn't have a problem with it. I told him it was fine with me. You know, I think it was just a case we both have the same influences, 80s action films, especially like the original American Ninja film with Michael Dudikoff, plus like G.I. Joe, obviously huge influence. I always thought his character looked more like Snake Eyes, where U.S. Assassin is more like Deathstroke or Red Hood with a hood.
Yeah.
I read U.S. Assassin for the first time, and it's always interesting how we can have characters that are inspired by others, and you always find like something new to do with them artistically.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's how we got Deadpool. I mean, you know, Rob Liefeld was inspired by Deathstroke, right?
Yeah, I think.
Well, Rob will tell you he was inspired by Spider-Man.
Okay. Well, whatever.
Well, when I was little, I always thought it was like Spider-Man, but I also had child brain and didn't know what Deathstroke was. So,
but I mean, it's obvious with the Slade Wilson, Wade Wilson.
No, total coincidence. Total coincidence. It's funny. I actually, my next issue to read for New Mutants, because I just finished Extinction Agenda, is 98, Deadpool's first appearance. So I have to round that out. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's always characters that are similar like this. And the American flag ninja, I hadn't thought of it, but I'm not surprised that 2 people think of it around the same time. Honestly, not. It happens to me all the time. I'll come up with an idea for a character, and then like,
well, I mean, and especially like this time right now, like that you know that we're going through, like we feel like these 2 guys speak to a lot of people. So you know, if you feel like, you know, G.I. Joe has been letting you down, or Marvel Legends has been letting you down, we're here to kind of pick you up and be like, hey, there's still some good comics out there. There's still some good action figures out there. I mean, action figures like these guys can stand toe to toe with anything that Hasbro can do. I mean, they're better. They're better than Hasbro figures.
Yeah, I was gonna say they look a little better.
you're selling yourself short.
They're absolutely better. Now, first off, obviously, you've got 2 masterminds, me and Mark, you know, working on here. but we have Luke Wakeford, who is a sculptor for the MCU. I can't talk about anything that he's worked on now, but he worked on Marvel Endgame. Anything that you saw that was Thanos, he did.
That's crazy.
He also came up with the design, and this won't surprise I think anyone once they see these figures, for the Winter Soldier for the movie. So he is a heavy hitter. Like he works on top stuff right now. Again, like I can't name the stuff that he's working on, but if you know any Marvel movies that are being made right now, I'll say yes, because he's probably working on them.
That is,
and then we had Shu Long Tan, who is another kind of veteran of the Hasbro company. He's freelance. He's been working at Hasbro for about since Rogue One. He's done every single Black Series figure since Rogue One. All the Ghostbuster action figures that have come out, he's done all the sculpts for all those. He did the Sergeant Slaughter. He did the Snake Eyes 00. And that was when I came to him. I told him, I was like, I want Snake Eyes 00 articulation, which is a little bit different. I know a lot of people out there are like, where's the butterfly joint? Where's the butterfly joint? There's no butterfly joints on these guys. I mean, for a couple of reasons. One, it's not what I ordered because I wanted the Snake Eyes 00 sculpt. And then two, like the butterfly joint, I think works very well with like wrestling figures, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. I mean, the Four Horsemen, they don't even have bicep swivels, let alone butterfly joints. I think maybe a couple of the figures do now, but we didn't set out to make the most articulated ninja in the universe here. We just wanted to make a pretty straightforward, detailed couple of badasses, and I think we did a good job at it.
That's awesome, man. Looks great. The book looks. I mean, the figures look great. I'm not even like a huge. I haven't been collecting action figures really since I was a kid, but I mean, just looking at these, this is something I'd want to own. And I got the chance as I'm on my way to fulfillment. I read U.S. Assassin. I like how fast those stories move.
Yeah,
that was always fun.
Thank you.
It was the first thing I read with Graveyard Shift, so I know I have to read all that too. That's on my list, especially because I love superheroes and slashers. So that's like two of my favorite things. So that I've been meaning to check out. But I mean, these look great. When it comes to designing the characters and knowing they're going to be action figures, are there things you're like drawing and you're like, I don't want to include that? Or do you ever have to change things? Or like, how does that go about?
Well, yeah, I mean, the original design of American Ninja was kind of leaning more towards Captain America. And then once Luke got a hold of him, he kind of put what we call, he MCU'd it up. And he did the same thing with the U.S. Assassin. He kind of made them look like they were part of like an MCU movie, yeah, I mean, that was kind of like the special sauce. Like he kind of took these figures and he just leveled up them, I mean, if you look at the detail, now this is, if you just showing the detail up above, his backpack opens up and his throwing stars and his claws and all his stuff fit inside his backpack. So that was something, like one of the things that I don't like about action figures sometimes, and this has been happening a lot, is they come with so many accessories, my guys can't even carry them all, So one thing I told him, I was like, I want these guys to be able to carry everything, And that's why once we down to the bottom, like we have a stretch goal for a bandolier, which actually helps them. But but you're going too fast. You're going way too fast.
I was trying to get to. All right.
He wanted
We'll
to show off
get
the
there.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Wait, so I wasn't even at it yet. That I was moving.
bandolier-
No,
all the
you're
way
not
at
even
the
there,
bottom.
but you're skipping so much good stuff. It's driving me
I
crazy.
was getting to the point, Patrick. Come
Okay,
on.
so keep on going, quick. So if you so right there, that's the stretch goal right there. So that's a bandolier. You can hook more throwing stars. You can hook the size. You can hook the clubs all into the bandolier. So again, these guys can carry all their gear, and on top of that, they also come with a cloak, so they can kind of cloak themselves up and get even more mysterious. Soft goods, known in the toy world. But yeah, I mean, this is there's a lot of toys out there right now. You got a lot to choose from. The economy isn't the greatest. This is the toy that you want your 10 to 11 to 13-year-old boy playing with right here.
Or your 40-year-old boy. I mean,
just keep the small pieces away from his mouth. Keep the shining star, the throwing stars away from his eyes or his nose. But like we really wanted to make something that you could pass on to your son or your daughter and be like, this is a strong, positive, patriotic character that can represent you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of figures out there recently, that are a little femmy, and they're trying to play it off like they're not. And I think our figures are no matter who you voted for, they're patriotic.
Mm-hmm. You're jacked, in other words, is what you're saying.
Well, to say it the least, yes.
Yeah, they look kick ass. I mean, all the articulation. I mean, I imagine that must cost a fortune. And
as the great Air July would say, that ain't cheap.
That is catchphrase. The car is not.
Yeah, so the car is made by the same factory that makes the action figures. So I just kind of put them together just for fun. And then that pilot right there is a pilot that's also made by the same company as well, just to kind of show you. That's a prototype on the right and a finished product on the left, just to show you how detailed like the finished product is. So you're gonna get a good figure. Like, you're gonna get a really detailed figure that will stick out in your collection.
That's awesome. These look great. So over to you, Mark. Now we've talked about the technical stuff and action figure stuff for a bit, but I want to talk about the story of this book. So U.S. Assassin. First of all, because I see him on the cover. When does this take place? Like, so in terms of U.S. Assassin.
Yeah, so it takes place. It can fit in perfectly with the current continuity of U.S. Assassin. This isn't an origin story. It's more of you jump into the middle of something, and as we go on with this, these characters, you'll find out the backstory of how they came together and when they first met.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
We're trying to, it's the easy comparison to make Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. That's sort of the type of relationship these two characters have.
So they've known each other and they're together.
Yeah, they've been on good terms and bad terms.
Yeah, because I always thought of of course, my mind always, Patrick knows, always defaults to X-Men. I was thinking like Wolverine and Sabretooth meet like in 211, and they're just like, oh yeah, we've known each other all along.
Yeah, that's a great comparison as well.
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. That was, by the way, they should have just done that and kept doing that with Wolverine. Never should have revealed the backstory, in my opinion. I think
keep the mystery, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because the way they used to reveal it was they'd tell a story and then it would be like, this happened in the present, and then you get flashbacks about it. Mm-hmm. And that, I don't know, I just found that more interesting.
As I've been reading. Are you talking about like in comparison to Origins?
Yeah, I mean, I never read Origins, but it's funny. I like almost everyone I've talked to hates it.
Yeah, I mean, like the reason I talked to Joe Quesada about Origins, and he said the reason why they did Origins was because if they didn't tell the origins of Wolverine, that the movies were going to. So they wanted to they didn't want
work
them
out well.
they didn't want them to fuck it up, so they did it themselves.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. It's always interesting. So okay, so you brought it up. You talked about the story. So Patrick, I know you've written stuff too. So where does this take place in relation to Johnny Phantasm?
This kind of happens. I mean, it's present day. Like, I don't want to give too much away. Like in the Johnny Phantasm world, they actually think American Ninja is dead. So he's kind of out of the picture.
Is he the one that gets blown up?
Yeah. Yes.
Because I was always like, that guy's so cool looking. Why'd you kill him off? Okay.
Well, that's the one. Spoiler alert. Yeah. So some people think that, aren't sure if he's alive or dead, and like we start off.
What's up, Mike?
We start off.
Yo, Mike.
Man.
He couldn't make it, but I was gonna bring him on, but he couldn't make it.
We start off like, well, one thing I said to Mark with this when we were talking about this was like, me and Mark both love G.I. Joe. We love the cartoon. We love the toys. We love Larry Hannah. We love everything about G.I. Joe. Like me and Mark should probably have a G.I. Joe dance off one night, just to see who knows more about G.I. Joe. But I was like, dude, let's not get fancy. Let's just do a straight up old school G.I. Joe story. And because I mean, if you go back and you look at the old G.I. Joe stories, there's a lot of the straightforward stories. And one of the things that I really admire about the old G.I. Joe stuff is you don't have to buy 8 issues to get one story. You can buy one issue and be done with it and move to the next one, and the world still turns. So when I was talking to Mark, I was like, let's do something. And it kind of went through a mix. I mean, at first, like the U.S. Assassin was not in it. We had spoiler alerts. If you go down the bottom, you'll see a little bit here. But American Ninja, he basically parachutes or paraglides into it's called the Dragon's Lair. And he's going to free somebody, but you don't know who he's going to free. And then at the end, spoiler alert, but there's a lot more stuff in between that I'm not spoiling.
Sorry, where is it? I didn't mean to scroll too fast.
I know, it's your ADHD. Did you take your medicine?
Can you just tell me where it is?
It's in the Dragon's Lair.
Where's the Dragon's Lair?
You got to read the book.
I'm saying on the campaign.
It's not on the campaign, Vaughn.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
No, there's no picture of it.
Okay,
it's in Antarctica, and what happens is the American Ninja he's got to bust into this lair to free a person, and through the comic book you're kind of not sure, and until you read the book, you might not even know, but he's going to break out someone. He opens the door. He says, and he's got his sword behind him. Like if you can kind of see the shot right here, American Ninja's already got U.S. Assassin's sword strapped to his back, and he kind of just opens the door and just throws the sword at him, and he's like, "Come on, let's get out of here." And then that's the end of the story. And then it's going to be, I mean, hopefully.
Did you spoil the ending of the story?
Mark we'll do part 2 of them breaking out of this the Dragon's Lair. And then later on down the road, like maybe like we can put them together. But it's basically just about him breaking into this thing called the Dragon's Lair. to break out his buddy. But here's the thing, and Mark touched upon this. Like, are they friends? Are they foes right now? Because they've had ups and downs as friends have. Last time they met might not have been on the best of terms. So he's kind of rescuing him, hoping to kind of bury the hatchet. So when he opens that door for U.S. Assassin, he's hoping that they get kicked in the throat, So find out, kids. Buy the book, find out. But I mean, again, this is for classic G.I. Joe fans, classic Marvel fans as well. There's some Marvel stuff happening in here. And I think it's going to be a fun book. It's not going to be something that you're going to have to buy 10 more to kind of understand what's happening. Mm-hmm. You can buy this one, you can buy the sequel, and then just be like, that was a good story.
And I'm confident in speaking to that. I'm confident because Mark, for example, I read. I was on the plane. And I had the Graveyard Shift U.S. Assassin. I've never read Graveyard Shift. Yeah. Again, it's on my to read pile, which is larger than my read pile. But I was like, oh God, am I not going to know? And it's like instantly you just tell me everything I need to know and we're right into the action. So I'm confident that this will be the same way. And that stuff is a lot harder than people realize to just make things easy to understand. And I love that kind of writing. So you guys mentioned you're both old school G.I. Joe fans. Now I'm gonna break your hearts when I say I've never seen. Actually, I've seen a few episodes of the original show. I've seen like 2, but I've seen like G.I. Joe Renegades. I remember was like my shit for a while when that
Renegades was all right.
I remember being like, I don't know why, but I was really upset when Ripcord died in the first episode, and then he comes back and I was like, oh hell yeah. I felt, yeah.
You're the only one that cared in the planet.
Apparently, I mean, he literally dies in the pilot, and I was like heartbroken. Like he was just introduced. I'm like, this guy's awesome. But anyway, I don't know what's wrong with me. But so I have a question, I guess, about G.I. Joe. Who are your favorite G.I. Joe characters? I imagine Snake Eyes.
Yes, like so for me, because of the comic, like the core characters were Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, and Stalker. I love that Stalker got a lot of love in the comic book because he didn't really get that much love in the cartoon. So they were like the 3 friends that were in Nam together. So for me, I really love those guys. Any like other characters? Well, of course, I loved Zartan.
Zartan.
All right, I apologize. I don't know Stalker because he wasn't in the one thing I watched.
he was the ranger.
I imagine he's probably like one of the most important characters.
For like the early Joes, he was because he was before they introduced Duke. I guess he was second in command after Hawk.
Oh, was Duke not there from the beginning?
No.
What?
Yeah. Well, he wasn't part of the original line of figures. Duke was like the first, wasn't he the first mail away figure?
Mail away?
Oh, mail away, and then I think he was the first one not to be straight armed, right?
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Wait, so straight armed? Okay, we're speaking a different. So straight armed
articulation,
Like the first Joes just had their elbows bent, but nothing else did.
But nothing else. Okay.
And then they got to a point where their arms
they could swivel.
They swiveled.
All right, so so who are the originals then?
It's Hawk. Scarlet, Snake Eyes, Flash.
There's one named Flash?
Yeah, Grand Slam.
All right. I thought I knew G.I. Joe at least. Pedestrian.
Clutch, Breaker. Did I say Stalker?
Laser.
Damn, I don't know anything.
Isn't Laser?
I know Scarlet and Snake Eyes of that group.
Yeah, so like the original ones were all like with the exception
of Zap.
Zap, yeah.
Zap.
The Sailor is the Sailor one of the originals?
No, the Sailor
no.
All right, I'm gonna get you with my pedestrian knowledge. You tell me how right and wrong I am. But I think so I know So Snake Eyes, Duke, Scarlet, Lady J, Roadblock, Tunnel Rat, Ripcord, hold on. Man, that's that because that was the crew in Renegades.
Yeah.
Damn, I don't.
So what do you want? Like, what are you asking for here?
I'm
Vaughn?
asking like are those well-known characters?
Oh,
Like, you
they're,
guys
they're,
are-
they're well
definitely.
known. Like a
Okay.
lot of the original, like the original 12,
Shipwreck.
they weren't as popular because they were just like military green characters, with the exception of Snake Eyes. When they started going to like wave 2 and 3, that's when the characters started taking on a little more personality. You get a little flashier costumes. You get like a Shipwrecker, a Flint, a Lady J, someone
Okay.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was I know for the villains because I know Zartan, I know obviously Cobra Commander,
Mhm.
I know Storm Shadow. What the hell was the hot chick? Hold on, with the glasses. Hold on, I know it. No, I was gonna say Baroness, and I knew you were gonna do that. Baroness. What's the Australian guy, or was he not in the one who gets his face messed up, or was he just in the show I watched?
The Australian guy.
No, hold on a second. I swear this is a real character that exists.
You mean Austrian?
I don't know.
Destro?
Oh, Destro I know as well, but no, this is a different character. He got like every episode he'd show up and he'd either get his face scarred or like one episode he gets his arm cut off, and it was just like every episode he get brutalized.
I have no idea who this is. Is it?
This is from Renegades?
Yeah, wait, hold on.
The only Australian guy I can think of is Outback.
Of course, his name would be Outback.
Yeah.
Oh God! All right, I'm trying to find like a list.
In the chat, Jim tells you is saying the Australian was Zartan.
Was it Zartan? No, was it? I guess it was. Was he Australian in the? He wasn't Australian in the original, right?
No, he's like Cajun.
I don't know. Maybe he was Cajun.
Or Creole. I don't know.
All right, I might have just been a dumb kid that thought that was Australian. That's probably what happened. To be honest with you. Okay. Anyway,
yeah. Like Zartan's thing is like he's the master of disguise, so he changes his face.
That's why they brutalized him every episode. Okay, so they wanted him to remove his. Okay, yeah. I remember now. All right, so. Wait, so then who are your favorite G.I. Joe characters were? Which ones? Sorry, just going back through it.
For me, it was Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Stalker.
Stalker, right?
Yeah.
Patrick, what about you?
Well, I mean, I think every kid says Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, so those are givens. But I liked Quick Kick. I liked Jinx. I liked Tunnel Rat. Let's see. I like the Barbecue. I thought he was pretty cool.
Jesus.
Shockwave was very good. Snake Eyes version 2 is probably like one of my favorites.
Wait, version 2? What do you mean? Is that a different character?
No. Like later on in the story, Storm Shadow finds out that Cobra Commander lied to him because Cobra Commander lied to Storm Shadow. He told him that G.I. Joe killed his parents. So that's how they got Storm Shadow to team up with Cobra. But then he finds out that Cobra Commander lied to him, and then he ends up joining the Joes. So he has a really cool costume. Like once he becomes a good guy, but then it's like Sci-Fi is one of my favorite characters. Lowlight. Dude, I mean, I could sit here all day.
Yeah, no, it sounds like my pedestrian knowledge is so. Is that like the original Marvel Comics series, right? Like,
well, like what was interesting, and Mark touched upon this, was everything they didn't cover in the cartoon, they covered in the comics. So it's like all you got to learn a lot about the ninjas, more about Zartan, more about those guys. So I tell this story often. Like I used to go down to the gas station by my house growing up, and I started picking up comics. This is when I was like 9 or 10, and I was amazed on how much Snake Eyes fodder was in there. You know, it was like because Snake Eyes was so secretive in the cartoon, like because he didn't talk, you never saw his face, and the comics really helped flesh him out. But
Yeah, I always like that. Like when comics can do that.
The cool thing about the comics too is, they were all written by Larry Hama, but Larry Hama also wrote all of the file cards for the figures. So I mean, he had like no one knew these characters better than him. So everything that couldn't fit like on that little 4-inch file card, was in the comic book, just adding layers and layers to these characters, like the whole relationship with Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow went back to Vietnam. They would drop some information in like issue 26, and they wouldn't like follow up on it until like issue 93. It was like long form storytelling. It was incredible.
Well, and I think one of the reasons why they postponed releasing them was because I think Empire Strikes Back was releasing their line at the Toy Fair that year, and Hasbro didn't want to compete with them, so Hasbro waited a year to release G.I. Joe, and so that gave Larry a whole year just to kind of come up with these really detailed file cards, which kind of like made a standard in a sense, because so many people have mimicked that since then.
I love that's one of the things I mean, it's not the same, but I would do trading cards, and I actually take time to write something on the trading cards. Usually something that's not easily found in the book, or just a more concise version, because why not just add that extra level of writing, flesh out the characters? I mean,
yeah, of course.
That kind of stuff is always fun. But all right. So let's talk about the tiers now. We've gone this far, but we've got the comic for $15. That's good.
Yeah, so each figure comes with its own mini comic, each containing 1/4 of the story. But if you want the whole story, you can just get the $15 collector's edition comic with the Don Allen Figueroa cover.
Nice. And then so these get like what? So when you say each get a quarter of the comic, how does that work?
If you scroll down just a hair to the,
I'm going extra slow for you, Patrick.
I appreciate that. If you scroll down to their packaging, so there, those images behind them, they come in clear boxes. Those are stickers on the front that show their info, but those are and they're going to be in a tray, but in the back, those are comics, and the American Ninja is 1 through 8, and then the U.S. Assassin picks up on page 9. So if you're into collecting those type of things, each figure comes with an 8-page comic, and together they make the whole story. But as Mark pointed out, if you don't want to mess around with that, or if you want both, you can get the full comic with the Don Figueroa cover.
So there's like 4 different stories, or
no.
It's all one story, but it's broken up into 4 chapters.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But if you want all 4 chapters, if you're just interested in the story and not the figures, you can get the collector's edition comic. It has the complete 4 chapters in one cover.
Mm-hmm.
But then, all right. So if you want everything, the best way to get it is $199 includes
all Ninja all the time. You get the main comic, and then you get all 4 figures, and then hopefully you will get the stretch goal.
What is the stretch goal?
Well, the stretch goal is at 125, and we plan on bringing this over to backer kit. So once we get the backer kit, that stretch goal will remain. There's the covers without any of the figures blocking any of them. Man, Vaughn, you were going really quick.
All right, hold on. I'm sorry. Which one? I was trying to get to. Okay, these 4 covers.
The 4 covers, yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to point out, like, so I colored the Winter U.S. Assassin one, and Mike drew it, and I love that illustration. I think that came out great.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a lot of. So, is it a different costume for the winter, or is that just an artistic choice?
Yeah. So
oh, right. I literally just scrolled past it. Never mind.
Yeah, you're not.
There's 4 different figures.
Well, Patrick, what do
you have
I'm gonna let you slide.
You have American Ninja X and U.S. Assassin in their standard costumes, but then you can also get Night Ops American Ninja X and Arctic Ops U.S. Assassin.
Yep.
And these costume changes come into play in the story. Also, if you scroll a little further down, we haven't touched on it, but Patrick's artwork is absolutely incredible for this this comic.
Yeah, well, I mean, I appreciate that, Mark. So this is me and Kyle Ritter working together here. And when I was talking to Kyle, I was like, I want to do Sunbow style backgrounds. I wanted to do backgrounds like the old animated series, kind of like out of focus and stuff like that. So you're going to see a lot of the backgrounds looking kind of like that. And I think it's going to give the whole thing a little bit of a look. Now, normally I am kind of known for doing more of like an indie style. I did that with Johnny Phantasm. Here I'm kind of like turning it up a little bit. I'm gonna aim for more of a mainstream type of look. I mean, I love Kyle. Like Kyle's great. And usually like Kyle and I will kind of switch hit coloring stuff because there's a lot of things that Kyle does. Kyle is very good at rendering.
His colors always blow me away. Like,
his color stuff his renders are great. But my I know values better than Kyle does. So it's like he and I kind of switch it and go back and forth, and it's fun because like we get to jam on it, and I learn stuff from him, and he learns stuff from me, and it's actually kind of fun because it's like, how do you do that? And he shows me, and then he does something, and I ask him like, how do you do that? Show me, and then I did something. He wants to see how I did it. I show him. So it's a fun experience. I always love working with Kyle. He's just a great guy.
Kyle's awesome. I haven't gotten to talk to him, but I mean, I love his everything he colors, and that's why. So I guess it's a hallmark of a good colorist because it doesn't look like anything I've seen from him. I mean, I can see it now that you've mentioned it, but like if you had told me, I wouldn't have guessed. But I love it, and I love hearing those kinds of stories of collaboration too.
Well, I mean, really. This story just isn't about us making a couple of action figures and a comic book. This is a story about collaborating. And what I mean by that is, there were some people that were trying to get Mark and I to kind of like get in a little tussle about like who created this character first.
I saw that.
Blah, blah, blah. And Mark and I, we talked. And we just sat back and we just said, we could argue about this, or we could be the adults in the room and we could do a really badass book together, and that's what we decided because I feel like it's energy well spent opposed to the alternative.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of the theme is just working together,
Yep. I love that. I remember seeing that and just immediately it just resolved and suddenly we have this project. So I always love those kinds of stories. And that was fun to see in real time. That like, nope, we're working together.
Yeah.
It was very quick. I like that. So
it was quick because like Mark and I talked about it months before.
Yeah. It's weird that no one had a problem with the American Ninja X when he appeared in Johnny Phantasm.
Well, because the character gets obliterated in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I guess since he died, I guess no one cared. But
Well, died, quote unquote, right? He's not actually dead.
well, I mean, you thought he was dead, and for all you know, this might be a different guy. I don't know. I don't want to get too
Okay.
much away.
Okay. Well, I was gonna, because that would have been one of my questions. Is, and I apologize that I'm forgetting the two names.
Well, it was like Mark said. Is it American Ninja X or is it American Ninja 10?
I mean, oh, okay. Like Weapon X. How Weapon X actually was one of the retcons was that it was Weapon 10. I don't know if you know that. For some reason, because I think for some reason they tried to say that like it was a later version of Super Soldier program. I don't remember exactly, but like that doesn't really make sense because like why did he go to Canada but then Captain America? But I think they tried to argue that it was like the same. I don't know. I too much to keep up with. But with this, I mean, this looks great, and I'm curious. So, are those two girls? I think it was like KT Phoenix, if I remember correctly, and what was the other girl's name? I apologize.
Becky Frost.
Are they gonna? Are they so? Because you mentioned, is this spoiler territory to ask if they're in any way involved, or are we going to touch on that at all, or has John?
They're not in this, but like we're gonna go there as soon as this is done.
Okay, so like issue 2 or something.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm curious to hear more about that because that was definitely an interesting plot line that we had going that I want to see more of. So I'm excited to hear more about that. Just give me an idea for something I'll have to run by you after this, actually. But so these all look great. Everything about this looks great. And I guess my question for you, Mark, and from a writing standpoint, because these are two characters that, I mean, side by side, you realize they're pretty different looking, right? But like, they're similar. They're similar in that they're American ninjas.
Yeah,
I think like because I was kind of like, I guess they could be similar, and then you see them side by side, and you're like, yeah, they don't really look that much alike. But my question is, like, how would you say they're differing from each other from a writing standpoint? Like when you're writing one character versus the other, and where are they similar? Where are they different?
So for me, I know one of Patrick's influences was Spider-Man and his amazing friends for American Ninja X. So I see American Ninja X as, more of a Spider-Man, agile, quick, bouncing around, where, my influences are, Rob Liefeld was a mentor to me. I see a U.S. assassin sort of like if a tank was a ninja, like a big guy like Cable, had the skills of a ninja. So one is, I think, more agile and finesse, and the other is a brute that still, has a little finesse, but he'd punch you in the face before he'd, kick you in the face.
Gotcha. So that plays off in their fighting styles and how you draw them.
Yeah, I guess. I would say, as far as like how I separate the two.
Yeah.
I also heard, Mark, rumor you write Marvel Method, right?
I do. Yeah.
So, because I didn't learn that way. I think I'd be interested to learn it. I feel like I've been too much of a control freak. Because it's funny, screenwriting, they teach you not to build in camera angles and stuff at all. And I feel like as soon as I got control, I started going a little mad with power. And I'm wondering, so do you think, did you ever write non-Marvel Method, or have you always written Marvel Method?
I've had to, like, for work for hire stuff. They wanted, someone would say, give me a full script. But I started out like young in my career. I worked with my very first comic book, Coney Waves. I worked with an artist who was like a 20-year pro, and I was like, here, I'll write you a script. And he was like, no, just give me a couple paragraphs of what happens, and I'll fill out the rest. And then I would go script it. My scripts are, I give all the panel by panel direction. And then once the artwork comes in, that's when I write the dialogue. It actually like inspires me to go in directions where I might, like, the artist will draw, a character, like, I don't know, doing a gesture or facial expression that I wasn't expecting, and it'll take me in a different direction. Or sometimes in a case like Evangeline, was big on this. The artist Owen Jenny, he would draw background characters that were so interesting. I was like, these guys need to become part of the story now, because I want to learn more about them. I want to write more about them.
I love when artists just do that. Like I've had artists, or even better, do you ever have where they come up? I'm sure you do, where they come up with something in your head. You're just like, yeah, this is like whatever, and they come with something that's so like out of left field, or totally not what you were thinking at all, and it's just better.
Yeah, no, that's the thing I love about making comics is collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
I want to write cool stuff for the artist to draw. If the artist has some better ideas, I'm all ears. I want to make this the coolest looking book possible.
I wish I was laid back as you. Maybe one day, maybe give it some years, but because I remember earlier on, and I will say this is where I improved this. Earlier on, I'd be like a little more like nitpicky, and then eventually I was like, all right, I got to shut up. I got to just like let him. He knows it. And sometimes I just come up with stuff. It's just way better. But do you ever like direct stuff? Do you ever like approve thumbnails or stuff like that? Or do you just
sometimes if I'm working with a newer artist, I want to see thumbnails just to make sure we're on the right page.
Yeah.
But as far as like working with Mike on US Assassin, we're at a point now I give him a script and he'll come back and say, hey, can we make turn this page into a double page spread? And I'll tell him as long as it doesn't mess up the page flow, because the worst thing you can have is a double page spread ending on the opposite, the odd number page, or the even number.
Oh
page.
my
Sorry.
God, that's like my editor gave me a note for my issue 3 script. I'm putting that on the back burner because how I have some issue 1 and 2 stuff to do. But I had he goes, oh, add a page here. And I'm like, oh my God, now I got to figure it out. Cause it's like, I have my perfect, I have spread. I write for the page. This is something I've learned is writing for the page turns. And then I remember the first time was actually, gotta give him credit. Justin Gray, one of the first professionals that ever gave me feedback. He's like, no, Vaughn, you have to do it. No, it's even to odd. And I hadn't realized that. My editor helped me with that. So that was always super helpful. And I really appreciate that. Learning about the page turns and all that is always great. But who was the first artist you worked with then on Coney Raves?
I worked with Steve Sestilli. I worked on Coney Waves with Dexter Weeks and Steve Sestilli. Dex is one of my best friends. Out of college, we worked together at Strawbridge and Clothier department store. And he was in the University Arts. He was interning for this artist he was older guy. He's probably 20, 25 years older than us. So when we were trying to make a comic, Dex was like, hey, we should bring this guy in. He's really good. So we were working with a guy who was he was way out of our league. He was so polished compared to us. So he was like, I don't need a script. Just send me a couple paragraphs.
Was that now? I have a question because that's obviously less work for you is good. But was that ever disappointing to you at all, or was it?
Well, there were things that I didn't feel so. Starting that, I felt like that wasn't really the version of Coney Waves I wanted to do, and that's why years later I remade it. Dex and I did it. Steve, I asked him to be a part of it. He didn't want to be. So we brought in Renzo Rodriguez, and I wrote a script. I had a story. We worked with, we brought in Mandy to help. And that was my vision of what Coney Waves should be. So it was cool to get to do it again. Yeah.
That's cool. Do you write? I haven't read a lot of Marvel Method scripts. I've read obviously a lot of tons of books that were written Marvel Method, the after product. But I know Michael Golden was telling me for Avengers Annual 10, Chris Claremont would write dialogue in there. Do you write dialogue in your scripts or?
I usually don't until the artwork comes back. If it's something if there's a line that I definitely have, I'll put it in just in the description, characters saying whatever, but I'll just describe the look they're giving and what the action that's going on.
Gotcha. That's awesome. I always wonder that because I mean personally I'm a huge like I love writing dialogue, and sometimes I hate because I'm like I'm taking up all this. They'll send me artwork and I'm like this is so much beautiful artwork. Now I have to cover up with my yapping, but sometimes I was wondering I was thinking about how you write reading U.S. Assassin because obviously there's a lot I want to learn from you, and your dialogue is very brief and to the point. It's one of the things I like about it. Like you just kind of move right along. It feels like you've really gotten the rhythm of just letting the artist just kind of tell the story.
Yeah, that's like I sort of write the books that I like to read. I like, I was a 90s kid, an image kid. So I like the flashy artwork. So I let Mike carry a lot of the storytelling, and I had the dialogue just to, keep the story going.
Yeah, it's funny too because I remember the first time I asked you, you were like you said you were an X-Men fan. I was like you clarified that you're more of a Lobdell than Claremont.
Yeah, like early days of CG, I think someone said I was the Chris Claremont of CG.
Oh, you corrected.
I was like, no, I'm the Scott Lobdell.
Well, see, I have to read Lobdell's. Well, do I? All right, because you recommend it to me so highly. I know because I've read I think 1 or 2 issues by Scott Lobdell.
Yeah,
and I've liked it so far. So because I was always like, he's just the guy that follows Claremont. But the 2 issues I've read from him have been very solid.
Yeah,
I've read did you ever read the Warlock Marvel Comics Presents? It was like an 8-pager.
No, I haven't. I'll have to look for that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that one's like a fun one because he took the way Warlock talks. I know he died early 90s.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you ever read much of Warlock, but he took the way he talked that Claremont wrote, the over the top way, and then made it 10 times that.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. So I like that. But yeah, I mean, I remember also, I think my first exposure to Scott Lobdell, same with Roquefort, even though I didn't know their names at the time, was that Red Hood and the Outlaws series that got so much crazy publicity. I remember that was the first time I saw a controversy in comics. Because there was she was in a bikini on the beach.
Yeah.
And they acted like it was the end of the world. And I was like, what's going on here? But that was always interesting. But anyway, yeah, I always wanted to ask. So Scott Lobdell, you say, is your favorite writer? Or
he's definitely up there. I don't know if I have a favorite writer. I guess if I was put on the spot, I'd say Lobdell.
Who are your favorites then? Just if you rattle off.
Larry Hama, just because the body of work he's done with G.I. Joe.
His Wolverine stuff, I've only read 6 issues or so, but maybe 4, but it's really good.
Yeah. Who else? I feel like Rob Liefeld, very underrated writer. I've gotten to work under him as a scripter. I don't think anyone tells a better action story than Rob.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you got to work with Rob.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. So Rob as a writer, that's interesting. Because I don't think I've read anything he's written.
Yeah, his Hawkman stuff. That's when I worked with him. Yeah. Was great. Even we worked. I wrote Evangeline for him, and he had a story he wanted to tell for the first story arc, and then he just handed the reins over of the book over to me. But yeah, no, he's a great action storyteller.
That must have been exciting. Was that intimidating at all, or
you know what? I think I was too. I remember Hawkman being a little intimidating, but I had worked with him before that on Evangeline and some other stuff, and I was just I don't know, living the dream. That I was probably too dumb to be scared.
That's good.
Just happy to be there.
Yeah.
Those are great books to work on. I mean, Hawkman, I imagine, must have been just because every time I talk to a writer, or even though I haven't read a lot of Hawkman stuff, his backstory is just nuts because it's constantly changing.
So we kind of lucked out. We took over Hawkman for the New 52, and we were the second creative team on the book, and the first creative team never addressed his origins. So we sort of had a blank slate that we could do. Rob, had this cool. We went the space cop route, but Rob had these, very Dune esque ideas in place for the story. Things were going great. They actually greenlit us for like 18 more issues. They gave us a year and a half of pay vouchers. And I was like, this is going to be great. We're going to put this epic Hawkman run together. And then it all fell apart.
I remember when we were having dinner, you were telling me, like, oh, I had this great story. And the way you sometimes you could tell when the way someone's telling a story, I'm like, this is going to fall apart.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. No, I remember leaving my day job, my phone blowing up. And I was like, what's going on? And I go on Twitter. The first thing I see is a tweet that says, man, I sure hope Mark has a job after this.
Oh,
I was like, what could have happened?
That's always fun.
What did happen?
Rob, on our time on Hawkman, Rob fired. Well, so this is funny. Like Rob fired our editors. I mean, we worked for the editors, but Rob fired.
What?
He's Rob. He can do whatever he wants. He's a legend. So over, I forget how many, we ended up doing six issues together. I believe we had 4 different editors over that time. So it was crazy. Like we had a different editor almost every other issue. But Rob finally had like, and if you look back at that time, other creators were so unhappy with the DC at the time. So Rob wasn't the only one, but Rob just had enough and he just quit, and he very publicly quit on Twitter. And he
didn't tell you?
No. And so I found out online. I didn't have a job anymore. It wasn't until like hours later, my editor emailed me and said, well, I guess you probably saw what happened today, Mark. It was nice working with you.
So they let you stay on either? Like you guys got fired as a group?
So Rob quit, and they decided they didn't know what they were going to do with the book. So they let me go. And then the very next day, they rehired me at double my pay because they said they already paid for Rob's stories. They were happy with what I was doing. So they just brought me back and they said, hey, we'll double your pay, for, all the drama. I was like, oh, this is actually going to work out even better. Oh. I was like, this is too good to be true. I quick wrote the script for the next issue. I turned it in, and then my editor called me, and I remember answered the phone, and he was like, hey, Mark, how you doing? I was like, oh, I'm doing great. I just turned in the script. And he goes, well, I hope you're going to be doing great after this call. I'm like, But at that time, Rob was on Twitter feuding with Scott Snyder because Rob said Batman sells Batman. Scott Snyder doesn't sell Batman, and Scott Snyder got his pants in a bunch over that. And the higher ups at DC did not like Rob arguing with their top guy at the time. So Rob had already quit, so they couldn't take it out on anyone. So they fired. Well, they couldn't take it out on him, so they fired me.
Damn. That's right.
My editor even confirmed that's why I was getting fired.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
That stinks, man. That stinks.
But easy come, easy go. If I hadn't gotten fired from DC, I wouldn't be making all these awesome indie comics and publishing my own stuff.
That's right.
And I make a lot more money doing that than I did at DC.
That's good. Well, that's always you got to turn those difficulties into a victory, and it sounds like you did that. So, did you ever work at Marvel, by the way?
No. There was talk at one point. I think John actually shared, Rob was working on this Guardians of the Galaxy pitch that he wanted John to draw. And I feel like I was attached as the scripter in this pitch, but I'm not 100% sure. I feel like, I remember it that way, but it could just be my wishful thinking. But I never worked for Marvel.
All right. So if you were to work for Marvel and DC, this goes for both of you, and you were to choose one IP to work on, what would it be? For Marvel and for DC.
DC, it would have to be Blue Beetle Booster Gold.
Ooh, we're talking Ted Kord?
Yeah.
You'd bring him back?
Yeah, and then for Marvel, I'd probably have to go with Spider-Man.
Oh, over X-Men. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So who's your favorite
Actually, you know what?
Spider-Man?
I should probably do X-Force just because of my love of Rob.
Hmm.
All right. I was just talking about that earlier because I was like, I just got through 100 issues of New Mutants. Do I read X-Force? And people are like, you got to read X-Force. So I guess I'll read X-Force.
What's
All
your
right, what
answer,
about
Patrick?
Yeah.
I mean, with Marvel, I would have to say Daredevil.
Oh, yeah.
And then with DC, I mean, I also am a big fan of Booster Gold. But I don't know. I mean, I know this sounds like just wishing, but I would like to draw Batman.
Well, I mean, everyone. I'm surprised Mark didn't say that. I mean, everyone. I think.
I mean, I just it just is one of those things that it's like I would like to really sink my teeth into it and do my version of Batman.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's like obviously a no-brainer for a lot of people. But,
So one of the things when I did get fired from DC, they tried to like dangle a carrot in front of me, and they said I could pitch for the Batman and Superman digital books they were doing at the time. So and at the time, you know, I was working with John on Graveyard Shift, but he was also trying to get his foot in the door there, and Jim Lee had liked this what he had seen, so we pitched as a team, and we pitched a Batman story, a Superman story. They liked the Superman story, but they just kept stringing me along until they finally like.
I would have liked to see that.
Yeah. So yeah, they did like the Superman story, but it never happened.
They like doing that. They like stringing you along.
Well, I think because of the circumstances I got fired, they didn't want me to go like mouthing off on Twitter or whatever, because a bunch of creators had just done that. So like, oh, let's dangle this carrot in front of this young guy. He'll keep quiet. So it worked.
Yeah, that's a shame that it didn't work out, but it led to this, so that's something, right? That's always, you always got to look at the silver lining. So this looks great, and the campaign runs another 21 days. So if with all the campaigns out right now, with everything that's on the market, what is the number one reason that people should back this book in particular and these action figures?
I don't think you'll find nicer looking figures. Like they're in scale with G.I. Joe classifieds, but I feel like they blow them away. You know, if you want to add some more ninjas to your army, you know, these are the guys that you want to add. That, you know, not only, you know, are they great figures, but there's a lore to these figures. You know, U.S. Assassin has 4 volumes, 250 pages of content, and we're adding even more to it. And now, you know, American Ninja X is part of that lore.
That's awesome. And so I guess I wanted to also ask, can people get U.S. Assassin as part of this campaign, or what's the best way for people to get it?
No. So what is cool, though, is people who have discovered U.S. Assassin through the toys have now been buying back issues through my website, hauntedpizzallc.com. And they've been back in U.S. Assassin 4, which is on Indiegogo right now in demand. We're actually going to close it down soon because Mike's almost done the book.
Haunted Pizza LLC. I'm putting that in the description.
Thank you.
Or not. I should have put that in the description. I can't edit descriptions live, but I put it in the chat. So if you're interested in getting any of Mark's books, that's the best place to go. Also, you have another campaign that's live that I wanted to make sure that I shared. Also, if you're interested in Indiegogo, the Indiegogo link for U.S. Assassin what is it? American Ninja X is in the description as well. But for let's talk about Writhe in Pain.
Yeah, Writhe in Pain, book 2, sequel to the hit horror book that I do with Chris Graves. It's about a witch hunter and his witch daughter. They have to team up to save their town from this awful evil that has not only resulted in a bunch of children in the town being abducted, but Payne's oldest daughter is one of those missing children. So they have to work together to get to the bottom of it. if you're a fan of Spawn, The 10th, Creech, those cool monster books of the 90s from Image, this is right up your alley. Chris, he wears his, influences on his sleeve. He's a huge Greg Capullo fan, and I think it shows in the artwork. And we just added Dan Kemp, who is legendary Spawn colorist. He's on the team now, coloring Chris's work, and they make a great team.
Kemp's great.
Yeah.
Which Kemp have I been talking to? I always feel bad. All right, I've been talking to Dave Kemp. Okay, not Dan Kemp. I want similar
Dave's
name.
great too. Yeah.
Yeah, Dave. Because he gave me some advice. I was looking for a colorist. He goes, I can't for you, but he was like, I'll help you out.
Mhm.
Nothing but good things to say about Dave. So I'm sure Dan's great too. Both of them great colors. And Chris Graves' art is unreal. This cover too by Malin. This one's great. And you have black and white one too.
Yeah, we have an oversized black and white edition. And if you missed out on book one, book one's available not only as standard edition, but oversized black and white edition as well.
That's awesome. And February Ferdinand actually did my first published work, the cover art, even though it was like technically not a cover. It was covered for my story, but it was a short story within a collection, was done by February. So
nice.
February Ferdinand, his colors are unreal. One of the things I've learned, as I've created is just how important like every person is. Like, I can only, my script is I have to work on, and of course I'm always going crazy making sure it's good enough, but it's like everyone is important. Pencils, inks, colors. Although you guys never work with like different inkers, right? Isn't it always pencils and inks?
Sometimes Chris for the first book we had some guest inks by Chance Wolf. Chris has a friendship with him, and he just loved the project.
Familiar?
Chance Wolf, 90s, worked on Spawn, Shadowhawk. He's currently inking Rob Liefeld on Deadpool Team Up.
Gee, I wonder. So it seems like you've, in case it wasn't obvious, if you like 90s stuff, this kind of stuff is for you. It sounds like. But it's funny because it looks like U.S. Assassin's more 80s, and then this stuff is more 90s. So either way, you can't go wrong. Oh, this one's interesting too.
Yeah, so so when we reprinted book one, we actually did a cosplay cover. So this is a cosplayer. I know you don't get to see the full costume. So when you flip the book open on the inside cover, you'll get a better shot of her dressed as Writhe.
You're already getting. I wanted to do a cosplay cover for something at some point down the road, like hire someone who's a cosplayer.
Yeah,
but man, I mean, that's a fun cover. So that was a con exclusive.
Oh, that was kind of cool. And,
so I worked out a deal with Oni Press to get my own exclusive Haunted Pizza Biker Mice cover. So this had to come together.
Is Oni who puts out Nacelle?
Yeah. Oni Press does all the Nacelle-verse stuff.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt my own. So Patrick, what were you showing off here real quick?
So I just wanted to give this a plug to all my Florida peeps out there. Bright Press Super 7 No Clubs Presents, which is a promotional company who does a lot of punk rock and metal shows. And also the Sarasota Toy Museum. We are doing an art show December 14th here in Sarasota. A lot of great artists on there. I mean, if you haven't heard of any of them, look up Pale Horse, and you'll see what this is going to be about. But there's going to be a big donation box for people to drop off toys. The Sarasota Toy Museum is, it's great, man. It's like they've got so much stuff there. Did Patrick draw this? Yes, I did.
Well, this one, I'm not sure when that comment was sent, though. Was that sent here? Or was it sent? If it was sent here, that's Patrick's, right? That's your.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I showed anything I haven't drawn. Well, except for the non-cover.
Yeah, the cover.
But what was I going to say? Yeah. So this is an art show. If you're in the Sarasota, Tampa Bay area, December 14th, free food, free alcohol. Lots of toys. and it should be a good time. So I post a lot about it, but I just wanted to give a shout out. It was awesome. Super 7 donated some toys. Riot Press, we're going to be donating some stuff as well. And it's just great. Just, Toys of Tots is an awesome organization. And it's going to be really cool to donate some robots and some Johnny Phantasm action figures to those kids.
That's awesome. So everyone, make sure you check that out. That's great. And anything else you guys wanted to show off? I know we went through a lot. We talked about, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about?
No, man, that's everything for me.
And that's pretty much it. It just, all hands on deck.
Someone's asking about that. Is it a fundraiser, an auction, or a party for thing you were just saying?
Well, it's a fundraiser, no auction. It's I guess. Well, there might be like a silent auction, and it's a party. So it's all three.
Oh, okay.
Really, what I want to say is, economy is not that great. You know what I'm saying? I understand that. It's going to get better. I think we all know it's going to get better. But these are some great quality toys, and the story is by two seasoned guys who are just going to keep you very excited and wanting to turn the page again and again. Please get in there and back it. If you backed it already, I appreciate it. If you know someone that's interested in it, share it with them. And let's see if we can get this thing moving.
Yeah, share the link out.
Yeah, it's off to a little bit of a slow start, but we still can make it. If for some reason we don't make it, we've already talked about this. We're gonna put it right back up and just keep on going.
Just keep going. That's one of the things I always thought is like, don't let them see you sweat.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's weird because I've dabbled a little bit in the toy arena, and Mark's kind of new over here, and the toys arena is different than the comic book arena. So it's like there's different YouTubers, there's different influencers, there's different people you have to talk to. So this has kind of been like us just kind of putting the flag up, getting people's attention. A lot of people are talking about it. Everyone that sees these figures talk about these figures. We just have to get more eyeballs on it. And it might take us a second time around to get more eyeballs on it. If that's the case, Mark and I are both patient men. We can wait. It'll only get better. I mean, Larry Hannah had to wait a whole year for G.I. Joe to be released because of Empire Strikes Back. I mean, we can wait a couple more months.
Wait, why did that affect G.I. Joe? Was it like because the toys, they were like...
Because they were similar in size, and they didn't want people getting confused. At that time, there wasn't a whole lot of 3 3/4 size action figures.
See, I'm so out of the loop with all that, but that's interesting. Sleeping Psychopathy says November is a hard time to sell things. Christmas is right around the corner. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Like I said, I had to put off my campaign. I think I'm going to have to put it off until after Christmas. And everyone decided to launch in October and November, which was initially when I was going to launch. So thank God for that.
We were aiming for Super Tuesday.
And then let's see real quick, just someone in chat had a question. I don't know if, but wait, what was I gonna say? Oh,
where is it?
Hold on, in chat. Wait 1 second. If you had a choice, it would be Star Wars easily. Someone I guess was asked a question about emails.
Emails?
Yeah, wondering about like emails. I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about, Vaughn.
All right, I was helping you look at the chat. Yeah, were you on? Someone was saying they got your email.
But since you guys are here, can someone? Wait, hold on.
Oh! I thought you were moving your head, so I was.
I don't know. I want to read it. But since you guys are here, can someone explain how Whitney got my email address when I never signed up for any of their mailing list? At this point, it's just picking my brain.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, like I've heard some people mention that too. Sometimes I've signed up for stuff that I forget that I signed up for. Sometimes I'll sign up for something and then I'll mute it, and then I unmute it and I forget that I signed up for it. I don't know. You know?
Dude, I get emails from stuff all the time that, like, the other day, or not even just the other day. There's stuff. Do you guys ever have a thing where you get emails from somewhere and you just delete them every day instead of just unsubscribing from the email?
Yeah.
I do that all the time. There's this one news site that I saw, and every single day I get an email, and I delete. It takes 2 seconds to unsubscribe. I never do that.
Well, I'm always curious what everyone's up to, so I always leave them. So it's like
I should
I'm
probably
always
do that.
Yeah, I mean, because I think I unsubscribed to a couple of people, and then I miss out on a bunch of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So I usually say just subscribed, and then if it looks like something that I'm not interested in, I'll just mark
if
it
it's
out.
what if 1 in every 10 emails I've unfollowed, like there's sometimes I've unfollowed stuff, and then I'm like, the 10th thing would have been interesting, even though the first 9 are boring. So I try and follow stuff, and then if I'm just bored, I just click off it. But anyway, yeah, so anything. Let's see, what did we talk? I swear this happens every time I have an interview. I'm like, oh, there's another question I go, no more questions, and then as soon as I log off, I forget. But so I'm just gonna log off unless you guys had anything else before I go crazy.
No, I mean, good. Just get out there and back this and pass it along, people.
Yeah, pass the link out, share it on socials, and thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Wait, what is the day? Is it Sunday? All right, tomorrow I am interviewing Bat Sauce, who was beeping in chat earlier. Beep beep. So I'm interviewing him tomorrow. I'm just kind of like marathoning a bunch of interviews because, again, so many people have asked me to promote them. I'm getting out as many of them as I can. Sleeping Psychopathy is excited for the books, and yeah, so that's what I've got going on. What do you guys got going on other than, I guess, what we talked about for the last?
This wasn't enough.
Tomorrow over on my channel, we're doing the Writhe in Pain Horror Movie Club. We're talking the horror movie lore, which you can watch for free on Tubi. And then every Wednesday, I stream on my channel as well for Revolution. It's me, a bunch of my friends, Enrico Botta, who worked for McFarlane Toys. Mike McMahon sometimes joins us. Best friend Sean Aaron from Type 1. Chris Graves sometimes joins us from Writhe in Pain. So yeah, we always have a good crew over there. Patrick's even joined us.
I gotta watch that show more because that's like right up my alley. Which is your channel? What's your channel called again? Is it
Primetime Poulton?
Primetime Poulton. Okay.
Yeah, it's PTP actually.
Primetime Poulton, because I'm subscribed to your channel, but I always look up Mark Poulton or Haunted Pizza.
Yeah.
And not Primetime Poulton. Okay. What's your favorite horror movie? Just curious.
Well, my all-time favorite movie is The Lost Boys. It's considered horror, but it's not really scary. But if I had to go scary, I've been on such a Terrifier kick. Terrifier 2, I think, is a masterpiece.
I was going to say I loved Terrifier 2. I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed in 3.
So was I.
A little bit. Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Everyone else thinks it's a masterpiece. Because I got this. I saw your post about it.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, I think they lean too far. I'm not agoraphobe or anything like that.
I thought storytelling wise, it was a little sloppy compared to part 2. Yeah.
The second one, I saw it at a film festival. And I was like, I had never seen the first one. And I was like, that is one of the best slasher movies of all time. If you want to say it's the best. And then the third one, the bar was set very high. I rewatched the first one and I was like, I watched the first later and I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
The third one, I don't know. I think I
think I was expecting too much. And
I think so too. They set the bar like impossibly high.
Yeah.
But there were times where I'm like, I would have rather seen more lore and less gore. I swear I didn't mean for that to rhyme.
I like that.
Yeah,
I'm going to use that for Writhe in Pain.
All right, more lore, less gore, or more gore. But I don't know. Use it how you want.
Yeah.
What about you, Patrick? What's your favorite horror movie?
I like Christine a lot.
God, I feel like a piece of shit. I haven't seen either of those.
I'm not like a gore guy or a jump scare guy. Although I did really like Event Horizon. Like that movie scared the shit out of me. But I like Christine a lot. I think it's just I like the story.
By the way, this happens every time. As I'm closing out, people decide
show
to join. So you guys go back to the beginning, but you guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Make sure to follow these guys on all their socials. And I'll be seeing you next time. I'm going to play the trailer for my comic book, which is shipping out tomorrow, next month. I mean, God, why did I say next month? It's shipping out tomorrow, and the website should be available this weekend, possibly Friday. So I'm going to play the trailer for my comic as we head out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for coming on. It's been a blast, and I hope this campaign kills it. See you guys. Peace out. When the whole world was dragged into World War III, brave men like my father fought on the front lines. And they weren't alone. That was 20 years ago. Now it's up to us to carry on their legacy. And every so often, the earth from which we come gives way for something new, something greater to be born. And with them, even greater threats to face. Bring it on! Phenomenova. For you, Dad. For you. All right.
Thanks, Vaughn.
Hang on. Did I not?
Oh, it's
Was
not.
I-
It's still going, man.